This is the D54, and this one here is the short version of a very compact, high-quality entry-level espresso grinder. Compact, affordable, $250 for that quality. Why I find this grinder interesting, I'll tell you in this video. DF54 or Apex or My Coffee or Turin or whatever else it's called. G-Iota is another name that's out there too. Has different names because it's imported into various countries and then it gets the importer's name each time. And here it's called the DF54 or also G-Iota or G-Iota 54. 54mm discs give the grinder its name. They're flat, they're located down here inside, and we can adjust them using this large grind adjustment wheel here, and it's very precise. Regarding size, it is 30 centimeters high, under 11 centimeters wide, 18 centimeters deep. Pretty compact, really a small grinder. It's on the slower side, but delivers an interesting and actually quite consistent particle distribution, and that's exactly what we need for making great espresso. We've got a narrow main peak, relatively little fines, and that's what allows you to brew espresso evenly. When we look at the particle distribution, that's really a particle distribution. I'd say that's where it really starts to go more into the intricate side so you can properly test complex coffees as well. And for a grinder in this particular price range, that's already a really compelling and impressive feature. If you're saying you want to get into the world of specialty espresso, you've got an espresso machine that reliably delivers a consistent temperature, then this grinder here could be a really interesting choice. Single dosing means you put in 18 grams or 19 or 20 grams of coffee, and that's exactly the amount you'll end up getting out at the end. And that only works if you have very little retention. You've got 0.3 grams of temporary retention and 0.2 grams that's permanent. That means 0.3 grams are swapped out each time, completely replaced by the fresh 18 grams of coffee you loaded in during the last grind. And those are really good values, so in the highest or best category. In this price range and compared to all other grinders, truly excellent. Of course, with such small grinding discs, there's not much space inside. But yeah, if the particle distribution turns out well in the end, then you really don't need to worry much about larger burrs. However, with these burrs, you can't just easily swap them out or install different ones whenever you want, because there simply aren't that many available. In this side, the grinder really doesn't have many weaknesses. The build quality is good, it genuinely feels premium. The dosing cup does a solid job, and I find this transparent version particularly well suited for beginners, as it gives you a clear and unobstructed view of exactly how cleanly and evenly you've dosed the coffee into the portafilter. You just flip it onto the portafilter after you've managed to get those 18 or 19 grams in there, and then you can already see if you've got a cratered mess or a nice, even distribution. I find that interesting. And otherwise you can still gently wiggle it a bit with the dosing cup securely resting on the portafilter without any of the coffee grounds spilling out. So what are the few weaknesses? Well, I guess it might be the speed, to be honest, yeah. Because the grinder takes about 1 second for every single gram of coffee you want to grind. That means for 18 grams you'll need just under 20 seconds, and that's already rather slow. At least the grinder isn't particularly loud. It runs at a moderately low noise level of about 86 decibels or so. And it sounds surprisingly similar to its bigger sister, the DF64, almost like a slightly softer twin. It basically looks the same, just a bit larger and with 64mm grinding discs. And here you might also wonder, should I get a DF64 or a DF50? The particle spread from standard burrs isn't really all that different. With the 64mm, you could easily upgrade to really top quality, high performance grinding burrs. And that's kind of the whole playing field that really opens up when you're willing to spend just a bit more money. Otherwise, yeah, a really great grinder. A grinder that's genuinely fun to use and a joy to work with every day. A grinder that truly opens up whole new worlds into the entire specialty coffee scene, no doubt. And honestly, there are few arguments against the DF54. Maybe one could be that you can't really reach the manufacturer directly. There's an official importer for the German-speaking region, one in America, and in other regions too, depending on where you're buying the grinder. But the actual manufacturer behind this grinder remains a mystery. Sure, with some effort, you can track down the factory that produces it for the different importers around the world. But it's still a white label solution, so the people behind it stay out of sight. And that's why there's kind of the question, do you just want a good grinder, or do you want a grinder with soul? A story, people behind it, and a tangible company. Then this isn't the right grinder for you. But if you're after pure quality, we have to say the D54 really delivers. And if you'd like to learn more about everything else it has to offer and what could still be improved, then be sure to head down below where the full in-depth article is linked and waiting for you, as well as our comprehensive test video.